Joining us now, former Republican Congressman of Pennsylvania, Charlie Dent, and Ashley Parker is staff writer at The Atlantic, as well as an MS Now political analyst. You know, Ashley, for months, the disruption was really described as part of the strategy. Now it's reportedly being discussed as the problem. Is this, do you imagine, a substantive shift in policy or just a recognition that the politics was unsustainable?
I mean, it really is both. You're right that this was something the administration, these aggressive tactics, thought for a while was a net positive. The public sentiment shifted drastically after those two deaths in Minneapolis. And the White House was aware that this was a political problem for them. And when you go back even to President Trump's campaign promises, on the one hand, he was talking about mass deportations. Even then, he was citing a number so large, 15 to 20 million, that most experts agree, not that many people here total in the country illegally to deport. But what voters really heard, including his supporters, was something he was saying, which was getting rid of the quote unquote bad guys, deporting the criminals. And that's something more people could agree on. Then you had Stephen Miller, the implementer of this vision, coming in and not just focusing on these quote unquote bad guys, but saying numbers of deportations that he wanted and expected that were so high that you found ICE agents feeling like they had no choice but to say, go to a Home Depot where there were undocumented immigrants lining up, waiting for work, many cases whose only crime was coming into the country illegally, starting to deport them in churches, around schools, and routine traffic stops. And that is what you're seeing the public, including Republicans, push back on, and this recognition from the White House that it's not politically popular.
So, Congressman, earlier this month, there was reporting that the White House and top House Republican officials told Republican members, to stop, to avoid discussing mass deportations ahead of the midterms. Look, you've been in these Republican rooms. You can have a shift in language. Critics warn that even if you change language and you change, let's say, optics, so you don't send the military into cities, you still have potentially mass deportations. You still have the government saying they're going to open these warehouses, these deportation centers. So are critics right to worry? Are the American people smarter than a change in conversation?
Yeah, it seems the administration seems to think they have a messaging problem, that if they just simply change the message but not change the policy, that they'll be okay. I would disagree with that. It's clear to me that the administration's stated objective now is to remove the criminals, the worst of the worst, the bad guys, the human traffickers, drug dealers, etc. Fine. The whole country supports that. We get it. But as long as the White House is saying remove, or Stephen Miller perhaps, saying remove 3,000 people in this country unlawfully every single day, well, guess what? You're going to go well beyond the criminals. And that's where we are today. So I think this is really more of a rhetorical shift than it is a policy or substantive shift. And that's really the challenge for this administration. They've turned an issue that was a net benefit for them, both immigration and the economy. Now they're net negatives. And they're trying to figure out a way out. And they really don't, they haven't found the recipe yet.
Now I'm going to try and argue the other side for you, Ashley, which is this. So much of this was about the visuals, right? People could look at the videos of what happened to Renee and Alex and say, that's not what the administration said happened. We can see what happened, why those American citizens were shot. The picture of a 5-year-old in a bunny pack, in a bunny hat and a Spider-Man backpack, the thought of him going into detention was more than a lot of people could stomach. So we don't have those pictures anymore. But yesterday we learned that the government is still trying to get Liam at 5, or I guess maybe he's turned 6 now, and his dad deported out of the country. This is a president that understands the power of visuals and narrative. So maybe they think if we just don't have the pictures anymore, we'll be okay. Maybe?
Well, I think they may think that. And one of the things that Democrats and Republicans are fighting over right now over the funding of the Department of Homeland Security is, for instance, whether ICE agents should be allowed to wear masks, which is another very jarring visual when you have masked individuals who don't often look like members of law enforcement, when they look like someone who's coming to mug you on a dark street, arresting people, attacking delivery drivers. So there are still those images to start with. But the other challenge here is that people, something sounds good in theory, is Congressman Dent said, getting rid of the worst, bad guys, criminals. Most of the country supports that. Even generally being tough on immigration, the president had a lot of support, but people in their lives naturally tend to overweight personal anecdotes and what's happening in their communities. And so even if you don't have these visuals, I have heard of people who have reached out to me because they supported the president, but they are in his immigration policies, but they are now appalled that their beloved teacher in their community, that the person who coached their kids' Little League, that the deacon in their church who they loved has been picked up and is in detention and awaiting deportation. And these are the stories that spread, and these are the stories, along with images, that inform people's views.